the last show in DC is now like 7 weeks, 7 weeks ago. How did you enjoy the first leg of the tour?
It was awesome. We had so much fun. I actually think it was the most fun we've had on tour, at least in like a very long time. Like we just had a blast. Like the shows were really fun. Just the energy was really great, and people in the audience seemed to really enjoy the music. And I think all of us just feel like really happy and grateful that we get to do what we do.
I saw that like in September and August there was like full packed schedule. How do you manage that to be like in one city the one night and then in the other city the other night? I mean, it's quite hectic, I guess.
I mean, that's just normal for us. Like we've been doing this for a very long time. And so being in, many cities in a short period of time, that's just standard. That's just
Like
part of
business
being in
as
tech.
usual.
Yeah, business as usual. Another day at the office. But um, you know, and also I think just the older that we all get, the more grateful we all feel that we're able to make such a strong connection with our audience and that people, seem to really connect with our music. And I mean, what more can you ask for?
Is there something you like to do when you're in a city and maybe you've been there or you've never been there before, outside of like the venue? You like to go around, see the city or something?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how tired we are. Some of us more than others. Jose, for example, our drummer, he rides his bike pretty much every city that we're in. So he's kind of all over the city. And each city has its own sort of unique, restaurants and people and friends that we have in those places. And but also there is a good amount of time where we're just like relaxing and resting because the schedule is pretty crazy and hectic, and that part of it doesn't get easier as you get older.
Can you take your hobbies with you on tour? What's something you like to do like in your spare time when you like have a few like now? I don't know if you're like in the studio or something, but like that's 7 weeks from the last show and the next are in January, I guess. So there's a lot of time to like relax and calm down and
Mhm.
recharge.
One might think,
But I like
no, we're
me.
actually we're actually almost finished with a new album. We've been in the studio. I think we have like 11 songs recorded. Like they're not finished, but close. And we've been working like very quickly, which has been really fun. We've all been having a good time. And plus I have 4 kids, and so my life is very full, very, very, very full. But again, super grateful for it, really thankful, and also very lucky that we were able to make like our hobby become our life and our career. So like, you asked about hobbies on the road, like making music and playing concerts is my hobby. So it's like, I'm doing that all the time, which is great. And just very busy with work. All of us do lots of things outside of the band, and and I'm very busy with other things too. So there's no shortage of things to do, and not a lot of calm time, but I don't really need that. If I'm ever in situations where I don't have anything to do, I kind of go crazy. So I'm always busy.
So other than the new album, what's on your plate right now? Can you tell me about that?
Um, I have 3 technology startups that I've been building with my wife for the last several years. And so all 3 of those businesses keep me very busy outside of the band.
Okay, that's that's interesting. That's something
Yeah.
like you picked up earlier in your life, or is it something you discovered?
I think for about the last like 7 or 8 years, like something like that. Uh, uh, my wife and I started a biotechnology company that spun out a skincare company, and then is also developing pharmaceutical drugs to treat cancers. So that's
Okay,
one half of it, and then, or that's 2/3 of it. And then there's another networking technology company that we started called Mix Halo that optimizes live audio streaming for live events. and it's become an AI platform for real-time interpretation, translation for live events. So that's where that's kind of it took a while for the technology and the company to sort of point in that direction, but that's the current state of play.
So your background in like the music industry really helps you to like have their special opinion in that, I guess. Or I
Um,
mean, it's more of the
Somewhat.
technical side or more on the event side.
I think that actually starting a band is really the same thing as starting any startup from a conceptual perspective. It's kind of like, you're bringing a team of people together to accomplish a goal, and everyone has to sort of be on top of everything. It's kind of like everybody has to wear many different hats and do a lot of different things. Like when we started the band, we were in high school. We were 15 years old, and we were passing out all of our own flyers to promote our shows, and we were booking all of our own concerts, and designing all of our own flyers and like cassette and CD covers, and manufacturing the CDs ourselves. Like it was a totally different period of time, but none of us knew how to do any of that, and you have to learn while you're doing it. And we drove around the country in a van for years selling music and t-shirts and merchandise out of the back of the van, and just playing shows and like acquiring all of the skills to be able to do all that successfully and grow it into a business. Like I didn't realize that's what we were doing at age 15, but as I started getting older, I started realizing like, wow, we built a successful business when we were teenagers, which is crazy. And like a globally successful business. And we had a lot of help and really amazing guidance and mentorship. Mentorship is like a really, really important aspect of that. So in building all of these new things, I spent time at Harvard studying various aspects of science. I studied history of physics, evolutionary biology, and all of those experiences sort of, I think, set me up for a lot of the things that I would do later from a technical perspective, at least from like a scientific sort of technical literacy perspective. Um, and I've all it's the same, it's all the same thing to me. Like I'm just curious about all these things. I've always been curious about music. I wanted to learn how records got made and how songs got written and recorded and all of that. And I just immersed myself in that as a young teenager. Did that for a really, really, really long time, continue to do it. And I take that approach with everything else in my life. Like I just get obsessed with these things. And then it's almost like a book that you can't put down because you can't stop reading it. And someone has to stop you from doing it. So like when I get asked like, oh, like, what makes you motivated? It's kind of like I just get obsessed, and then like, someone will have to stop me from doing it. It's like sort of the opposite.
Right.
And it's good because it's good and it's bad because you're always curious and you're always working and you're always trying to solve problems, but you don't rest much I don't rest much when I get in that frame of mind, and I'm usually in that frame of mind. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it's
lot
all
going on. Yeah.
that's that's my life.
That's very interesting. I mean, that's not what you hear every day. But maybe let's talk about Morning View for a second, because I was wondering, and I'm always wondering when bands go in the studio and re-record old records, is there something you missed, or is there something you now know that you missed it back in 2001 when you now re-recorded the whole thing again, like some time of
Yeah.
technology or an inspiration or something? Because I feel like the spirit is very the same, but like it's different. I mean, it's a re-recording, so it's not going to be exactly the same.
Well, what's interesting about the re-recording is that we recorded all of the drum tracks in the original space where we recorded Morning View, which is a house in Malibu. So that performance from Jose, our drummer, was recorded there, and then we overdubbed the rest of the instruments in a recording studio called Henson, where we've recorded a lot of our music in Los Angeles. It was a really fun experience, to be honest. Like there were definitely parts of songs that were playing somewhat differently now. And then sort of like forgot that had been playing them differently, and then going back and listening to the original recordings, which I hadn't really done for I don't know how many years. And then it's like, oh wow, yeah, I'm playing that wrong, or I'm playing it differently now, and I didn't realize it, which is kind of hilarious. But at the same time, the way that we play them live sort of gradually evolves a little bit. Some songs more than others, some are much more sort of true to the way that they were recorded. It just depends how often we played them on tour. Um, but it's kind of like visiting old friends, like re-recording those songs. And also the opportunity to play things slightly differently, if we're playing them differently live. There are just little things, nothing like too major, but we added a few parts to certain things, and they're just little pieces of songs that get played slightly differently. And it's cool to be able to like alter them a little bit, but remain true to the original versions. Um, but to be honest, like I wasn't really thinking too hard about that. It's kind of like, we just did what comes naturally to us, and we don't really worry about like how it's going to translate because we feel like if it makes us happy, it'll probably make our audience happy too. That's always been our philosophy is just, if it makes us feel good, like hopefully it makes our audience feel good too.
Can you tell me why are or how the Beatles cover got into the set list? Because I saw it there and tell me about it.
I mean, it's a little bit random.
Yeah.
I think over the years, we've just sort of every so often, one of us will just say, "Hey, like this would be a fun song to play," and it just kind of creeps its way in, and the audience really seems to enjoy it, and it's fun for us. It's like getting to wear like a really cool outfit that someone else really cool wore, like that's sort of the way that it feels because it's like we're playing a song that everyone knows that we didn't write, but we're just honoring it, and I think it really brings people together, not to try and be too clever, but we're playing Come Together by the Beatles. And it really does, it really accomplishes that, like you really hear people singing it. They're so excited about us playing it, and it just feels good, and that's why we make music.
It's also great, like to like as you said, to honor them, but also like to see that music is so much more because the Beatles are like a whole different genre than your music, or like or Bowie, for example, and
Yep.
it brings the people together, and they're all like I always have to think about the like entrance music from Green Day when they're playing Bohemian Rhapsody. It's like totally different music, but everybody loves it, and I really like these parts in
Yeah, I think it reminds, sorry to interrupt you,
yeah,
but
no, go on, go.
I think it reminds everybody, including us, like how big music really is, like how expansive it really is. And like what you said, it really is universal. And all people from all walks of life, whatever their religions are, whatever their political beliefs are, whatever differences they may have, they can get together and yell a Beatles song at the top of their lungs and all do it together. And those are sort of subtle and not so subtle reminders of like the responsibility that we have as humans and stewards of our planet to be able to coexist together. There's so much more that unites us together than that divides us. So I believe in the power of music and its ability to bring people together for sure.
Were the Beatles or like the Stones some kind of influence for you in your youth?
It's funny. The Beatles much more so than the Stones when I was young, but I think now as an older person, I realize the Rolling Stones have been a presence in my life for my whole life. And there are a lot of artists like that actually that as a younger person, I might not have said like, oh, this is an influence on me or this is something I'm listening to. But I think the older you get, the more I start realizing like whether I wanted it or not, these artists were in my life. Like their music was playing in somebody's car and I went to a concert with someone else or somebody was playing it at school or whatever, like all of this music reminds me of different times and places in my life. And I think when I was younger, I wouldn't have really understood that concept the same way. So
And
all music is meaningful to me, really, like in a way. Even music I thought I had hated when I was young. Like I hear it now, and like I'm just like, it's nostalgic in a unique way that I hadn't. anticipate it.
Yeah, and
So I have a
especially
different, it's like a different appreciation, a different type of appreciation for it.
yeah, yeah. So especially for you because you're around a lot of different genres of music or types of music because like all the stuff you do as a producer or I found out you work together with Hans Zimmer and
Yeah.
EDM and Skrillex and Steve Aoki I saw on your Instagram. So how do you balance the work with Incubus and all the other stuff that's going around you and music wise? So you have to like flip a switch and be okay, this is for Incubus and this is not.
It's all like I said, it's like all of the different things that I've been lucky enough to work on and all of these amazing artists that I've gotten to collaborate with over the years. I mean, I haven't been as active in working with other artists in like the last several years. I did something with Skrillex last year on his on one of his he put out two new albums and there's one that I co-produced the first song on that album. Um, but I haven't been like actively really doing that much outside of the band in terms of music over the last like several years. But you know, in the just I've just made friendships with all these people. Like they're just my friends, like naturally. So when we make music together, it's really like kind of just born out of our friendships. Like I've known Sonny Skrillex now for quite a while, like over 10 years. More than that probably actually. Think about 12, 13 years. And we just connected in like a very natural way. Like he grew up listening to Incubus and like I was totally blown away by his music when I first heard it, like, probably like around 2010 or 11 or something. So sometime around then. Um, and and I've known Steve Aoki since like the late 90s. Like he's a LA, he was living in LA, DJing in like little tiny clubs, with other friends of mine. And we used to all hang out together and we were just all friends, and the fact that he became like this huge electronic artist, it's like it couldn't have happened to like a nicer, humble guy. Like he's like the sweetest, like so happy like for his success. Um, he's just an amazing human, I don't know how he has the energy to do what he does because he's same with Sonny, like both of those guys. They're like
Totally workaholics.
they're superhuman. Sonny in particular, like as an artist, as a musician, as a producer, he's just like an alien. He's a savant. He's so incredibly talented, and I'm just totally in awe of what he does with sonics, with producing. Like he literally can do anything, and really fun to work with him. And it was really fun to bring him into, he worked with Incubus on our album 8, which was just like was just so much fun. And again, it 100% just evolved out of our friendship, and just being able to like I think that's just what it is for us. Like making music is it's a really kind of based on our relationships and our friendships with each other. And, having Nicole in our band, our bass player, Nicole, she joined us about a year and a half ago. And she's amazing. She's just an amazing person, an amazing musician, and just it's so easy to work with her and for her, she fits in with us so easily. And it's been that way since day one. Like the first day that her and I spoke, it was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work, And then the first time we met and actually like played music together, all of us, including her, like we were all just like, oh, this is perfect. Okay, this is what we're gonna do, And it's just been that way ever since.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so as we talked in the beginning, I saw a post on your Instagram from the DC show which said, "Nah, we're going to be back with new stuff coming next year, the next chapter, as it was captured." Can you tell me a little bit more about what's coming? So you said the album is nearly finished.
Yeah, we've been in the studio. We're hoping to have our album finally completely done before the end of the year. And we'll release it at some point next year. We're kind of in the planning stages of doing that. We're gonna play a bunch of more morning view shows. And so that that is also like sort of in the planning stages as well. Some of those shows are, we're playing, in Germany and Cologne, and we're playing in London. Really looking forward to that. And we have a bunch of shows in South America coming up, a few others in the US, some festivals and things like that. And we're planning other things for later in the year. And then the new album will come out. I'm not exactly sure when, but sometime probably in 2025. And then my guess is that our touring for that new album will maybe start in late 2025 and extend it to 2026. I'm not exactly sure about that yet, but it's all coming. Like it's all being planned. And we're really excited about it. Our fans are really energized. And like I said, the last like year of touring we did was just awesome. Being in Australia, Asia for the first time in a very long time was really incredible. We're excited to do a much more substantial tour of Europe. That'll be happening. We know that a lot of people are sort of kind of bummed that we're playing so few shows this time around. Um, but we'll definitely be back, and we'll definitely be playing a substantial amount of shows in Europe, either later in 2025 or probably early 2026. We'll see.
So, first of all, we are very excited that you're coming to Cologne for the show in April, I guess. And it was very nice meeting you. Thanks for talking to
Right,
me.
of
And
course.
if you like to like shout out to our German listeners, one last sentence or
Yeah,
two, you can totally go for it.
I'm here to give a massive shout out to our German fans, people who listen to our music, who've been following us since the beginning, since our very, very first show in Hamburg at Magdale. That was like clear in my mind. I thought it was Cologne for some reason, but I was wrong. But we did play Cologne on that tour. Live Music Hall, that was the venue. And in 1997, opening up for Korn. What a fun time that was. And over the years, like just so many times playing so many shows in Germany, playing the festivals, Rock am Ring, Rock am Park. Like we love Germany so much. And I'm German. My last name is Einziger. We're so excited to come back, and we love all of you guys so much, and we're just so thankful for your support. And we'll see you really soon.
Yeah, I will definitely be there in Cologne. I can tell you that.
All right. See you
Perfect.
there.
Okay, Mike.
Man.
Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for the interview and see you around.
All right,
Okay.
man. Have a good one.